On this episode of All the Mods 10, we make a time wand to be able to tick accelerate blocks and make them work faster. And we set up an entire room full of Ars Nouveau automation so we can make the Unobtanium alloys. Hello everyone. So in between episodes, I went ahead and set up some more seeds here. Not that many, but a few. And the one to mention is this nitro crystal. The reason why I did that is because if you look at the Unobtanium alloy recipes, this one requires 1x nitro crystal block. So that's 9 of these guys, and that's each one is 9 of these. So if you look at it, it says a total of 9 blocks times 9. So it's 81 nitro crystals per block. So just in case, I went ahead and made a seed for it. You can do it with bees as well, but the reason why this one's different is because it requires a crux. And everything that requires a crux, you have to put the crux below the machine in order for it to grow. If I break that, you can see that it stops growing. So everything, not everything, but most things in tier 6 and then all the things in the magical tier require a crux underneath for it to grow. And if you look down on my hotbar, you can see that I have 467 of these blocks. That's because that's all of it that exists in my EMI system. So if you look under your settings for your wireless terminal, you can see there's stock and then enable pick block. So if basically this means that whatever thing I have in my inventory, so if we grab cobblestone, for example, so it'll show that I have 2 billion cobblestone here and I can use it and it'll just pull it from my system rather than me needing to keep it in, like keep refilling it in my hand. And then the pick block is I can look at it and press middle click and it'll let me pick that up as long as it's in my system. So it's, I've known about it for a while, but I don't know why I didn't turn it on. And then this one pick up to EMI system, you guys saw this early on, but basically when something goes in your inventory, it just goes directly to your EMI system rather than going into your inventory. So anyways, let's shift gears a bit today. And let me show you what I built over here. So this will be the magic wing of our underground base thing. And I made this for Ars, and it's kind of wild and trippy and crazy, just like Ars. So I think it's kind of fitting. I don't know. These are jacaranda leaves, and then behind it I put these anti-blocks, and the walls are the stripped Ars logs, or not stripped. Some of them are stripped and some of them are not. And then these guys are just chiseled concrete, purple concrete. So we're gonna have to get into Ars pretty soon. And you require a lot of these gemstones from Ars. What is it called? These guys, source gems. And if you remember early on, we set up a little quick automation with Super Factory Manager to turn lapis into these guys. And we could do that again, but I think I'm just going to set up bees for it. And we'll have this, and we don't have to worry about it anymore. So if we take a look at the arcane bee, it says that you have to make the spawn egg, which is this guy, and you need the amethyst bee, and you surround that with source gems in the enchanting apparatus. So let's see what we need for the amethyst bee, and that's just a diamond bee, and you give it an amethyst block. So let's go to make a few of those. Here are our diamond bees, and we'll grab some amethyst blocks. And the way I've been, so for example, these arcane bees, or I'm sorry, the amethyst bee, you take the diamond bees and you feed them with amethyst blocks. So I kind of set up a clock here, and then I can put all of the amethyst bees on the side. So all the diamond bees can go in there. Let me just make sure. By the way, whatever you're searching in JEI or EMI, if you double click on the search bar, it'll highlight the things in your inventory that have that in the name. So if I wanted to search for the diamond bees, for example, I could say diamond and it shows all the things that have the word diamond in it. So and then I just put these guys in here and I feed them, oops, like so, converting them, and the catcher picks them up. This came in very handy for something else we're going to be doing today. I'll show you guys that in a second. Okay, so we have a bunch of these amethyst bees now, and we're going to go up top here and put them inside of our squeezer to get their genes so we can make their spawn eggs. I had to do this a lot for all of these bees, because today we're also going to do the time bee so we can speed things up. And I went ahead and off camera made all of the spawn eggs that we need for 5 time bees. And these are very annoying to make because none of them you can breed together. So for like example, the Eclipse Alloy one, you have to get the Ancient Bee and feed it Shadow Pulse goo. And the Shadow Pulse goo requires Skulk Shriekers, which you cannot make. You have to mine them from ancient cities. The way I did that was I picked up a... So noisy. Let's go over here. I picked up a my Explorer's Compass and found ancient cities. And if I couldn't find one, I did /RTP, which teleports you to a random location. And once I found it, I used a digital miner to mine the Skulk Shriekers. So that helped a lot. You just have to make sure that Silk Touch is activated, and you can press start after you set up the Skulk Shrieker. You can use the digital miner to mine that, and makes it a lot easier than having to do it manually. Okay, so let's so that was for that, and all of these other ones. Similar story. You can't breed them together. You have to like make the spawn eggs and squish a bunch of them. So it's kind of a pain, but I made enough eggs off camera to have 5 time bees. So we'll also do that today. Now we are looking for these guys. So we had 7. And I forgot what the Source Gem Bee, Arcane Bee. Okay, so let's combine that with a treat. And we only need 2 actually, because we can breed the Arcane Bees together. Now we need the Enchanting Apparatus. And we need the Arcane Core and some pedestals. Temporary setup. We grab source gems. Not a super complicated thing, but that gives us our first Arcane Bee, and we'll make the second one. All right, spawn these guys in, make sure they're max stats, and we can breed them. Let's set those guys up here, some omegas. There's a thing from Just Dire Things called the Time Wand. And this Time Wand, when filled with Time Fluid, can be used to tick accelerate blocks. So something, let's say it takes 10 seconds for it to process its resources, you can tick accelerate it, and then it'll do it faster than that. But you need Time Fluid for that. And the way that works is you need to farm these time crystals, which come from taking you have to make this budding time crystal block. So you take a budding amethyst, put it next to Shadow Pulse goo, and it turns into a budding time crystal. And again, if you break these, just like the budding amethyst, it doesn't give you the block. So what I did is I used a cardboard box from Mechanism, and I went ahead and gathered 8 of these budding crystals. So let's go ahead and put those guys down. Okay, and you can remove the cardboards. So now these are all the amethyst, and we get our goo. The goo down, feed it with skulk so it's activated. And again, I have my shaders turned off so you don't see it encompassing the block, but pretty soon this will turn into the budding time crystal block. And once it does that, it needs to remain in the overworld for a bit to absorb the overworld power. And then you take them and you move it to the nether and it absorbs the nether power. And then you take it and move it to the end and it absorbs the end power. Once that happens, so you can see this one changed already, I think. But we're going to wait for them to all change. And then once that happens, we'll take it to the end. Basically, I'm going to set up the time bee. So there is a way to automate this with just dire things, with like the sensors and the block teleporters. But I don't want to do that. The bee is kind of broken. It just gives you time fluid. Because you need the time fluid to run the time wand and also a time crystal to make it at first. So we're going to do this with the 8. So they're all transforming now. And once we do that, when we have enough time crystals, we can make the bees and then we don't have to worry about automating this. So let me go ahead and put these guys in the cardboard. And I'll come back in the end when they're all converted. Okay, so now that we are in the end, we're going to do the same thing and pop these guys down. I don't actually think they have to be away from each other. But I don't know if it makes it faster or not. But anyways, I'm going to do it like that. So now we let these guys absorb. You can see little particles going towards it, so it's like absorbing the power from the nether. And there you go, this one changed. So we're gonna wait until they all change to the orange one, and then we'll go to the end and do the exact same thing. Okay, that last one took forever. But we have them all now, and let's pack them up. And we go to the end. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm all of a sudden breaking things really quickly, it's because I went ahead and put some things back in my curio. The onion ring is what's giving me instant break on these things. All right. Now we wait for these guys. Oh, so now this is an actual budding time crystal block, and this will grow time crystals on it. So let's move these guys up 1 block. That way it can grow time crystals from every side. So these guys are going to sit here. If you're going to do this, don't do it like I did, just in case you want to walk away from it, because these are 2 different chunks. So if you wanted to walk away and you wanted to chunk load it so it'll basically progress as you go do other things, it's better to put them all in 1 chunk so you can just chunk load that 1 chunk. But if I wanted to do it, I would have to chunk load both of these now, which is not a big deal either, but don't do that. I pressed F11, which makes it non-full screen. F9 is the overlay for the chunk borders. Okay, so these guys will effectively grow time crystals. You can see it starting to form on the bottom of this one already. So I'm going to just let these guys go for a bit, and I'm going to go make dinner and have some food. And when I come back, hopefully we'll have some things. So I will see you guys basically instantly for you, but it's going to be about an hour for me. Alrighty, I am back, and I just crushed a couple of ribeye steaks. That was delicious. But as you see, we're in the nether now. The reason for that is a couple of the the budding time crystals reset back to the ones where they need to be charged in the different dimensions again. So that's why I went to there again. Something else to watch out for. I keep doing this, but a 1 block gap in between each one is not enough, because if this crystal grows, it'll stop this one from growing. So word of advice, put them 2 blocks away from each other. And let's do one here. Okay, so these guys will start doing their thing. You can mine these guys with Silk Touch. So what I'm going to do is mine them with Silk Touch. Okay, and then we can grab these guys and put them a little further apart from each other so that they can do their thing. Okay, and then once that's done, I believe we can just stick these guys back on and they'll grow, hopefully. So in order to make 1 time crystal be each, we need 1 time crystal for the fluid, and then we need 18 for the 2 blocks. So we need 19 time crystals in total for just 1 time bee. And then on top of that, we also need to provide it with a flower, and the flower again is a time crystal block. So we need another 9. So that's 28 time crystals that we need, which is a lot. But hopefully with these guys, we can get 1 of them set up. And then once we have that 1 set up, it'll produce us time crystals, and we don't have to worry about this as much. That's why I have so many of the blocks set up. We have 1, and it looks like you only get 1. And if you notice my FOV and everything changing and going crazy, that's from the time crystals. They kind of make you a little funky. Okay, so it looks like we only got those ones. Let me put that in my system. And if you look at this one, that's dark green. So that one is not going to be producing anymore. So we have to move it back to the overworld. And I'm going to use my Silk Touch to break these guys. And then we'll cardboard it again. And go back home. So we pick it up, and then this guy's gonna absorb, turn into the like glowing green version, and then we'll take it back to the nether and then back to the end. You know, I wouldn't recommend doing the time crystal the way I'm doing it now. I would set up the automation for it using just dire things, you know, just so you don't have to babysit it, because you do need a lot before you can set up the bees. But let's make another 1 million. And we'll do another fluid cell housing. And this will be for our time fluid. So we combine that, and we'll go time fluid. Alrighty, guys, it has been a long time later. And as you can see, 2 of these guys are darker than the other ones. These 2 are no longer producing crystals. So when this happens, you need to take them back to the overworld and recharge it, go to the nether, recharge it, and come back to the end so they can continue growing crystals. I've done that already with a few of the other ones, but I was just AFK. Anyways, so these large ones, if you break, you get nothing. You want to wait for these time crystal clusters, and you can vein mine them. And each one drops 1 fortune. Does not matter. I have fortune 7 on this one. I've never gotten more than 1. So we're gonna do these guys too. I'm trying to be careful because I mine things really quickly, and I don't want to break the budding. Okay, so we have 13, 26. We need 2 more time crystals. Here's one. I think we might do it actually. Here's another one. This whole thing. Perfect. So with that, I think we can end. We need 3 of those guys, which will make our... Actually, I take that back. Let's go home. And we need to make a bucket of time fluid. So we can do that just right here. We'll take a bucket of water. And we put... let's see how we do this. We need the polymorphic fluid, which comes from throwing one of these guys in there. And then we throw the time crystal in there, and we get time fluid. Okay. So that gives us the time bee spawn egg, and we have a time crystal block that we can set up in the feeding slab. Let's put that guy over there, let's get some omegas. And how about a honey treat? For our little special guy. Okay, so now this guy is going to slowly produce time crystals for us. And when we have more, and also the time fluid, I set up a, what do you call it? A fluid storage cell that is partitioned to hold time fluid. So that'll go in our system. We just have to add it to the code here. And it is time fluid source. So over here, we got to do another one. It's getting kind of long, so I'll just do a separate output statement. Time fluid source to interface. Oh, look at that. Wow. Okay, so we already have a lot. So there's 2 more, and we have a bucket. So here's our second time crystal, or I'm sorry, time bee. And we want more treats. Now we have 2 little guys, little special guys. Okay, now let's take a look at our time. We have so many time crystals and so much time fluid. Let's go ahead and make the rest of our bees, which will be completely unnecessary. Okay, so those are our bees, and then we get our treats and a cage. Our special little guys. Come here. This guy's trying to escape. So we put these guys in their hive. Now we went through all of that trouble to make these time bees. So let me at least show you guys what they do. So we make the time wand. Just like that. And then we take a look at our, you need to fill this with time fluid. You see how it's empty right now? You can just click on it in your A2 thing. Okay, so now we have a time wand and we can accelerate certain blocks. For example, this one, it's making 60 millibuckets every second. So we can speed this up, and now you can see it's making 7.7 buckets every time it pops up. So that only used like less than 130 time fluid, but we have 152 buckets already, and that was with only 2 time bees. So the time bees kind of work very fast, and we just fill that back up. So just like that, this is now making a ton more things. Let's say like our circuit slicers, for example, we want to make a 256 million storage component. So this guy's going to start going. See how fast it's going? But now, oh no, can we not? Oh, we can't accelerate these guys. But this guy's accelerated, not that it needs it. What about, no? Let's go try our beehives. Let's say we want more locks. We speed up those guys. Look how fast these, you can hear the bees too going crazy. And these aren't even omegas. These are just alpha upgrades. This is the slowest it could be. So very, very cool. I want to set up these essences, and let me just double check. Yes, the imbuement chamber works. We need Super Factory Manager as always. The way I'm going to set this up is we will be passively crafting all of these essences. At least the important ones. Let's see for the alloy. We need earth, air, water, and fire. So those are the main ones we'll start with, and then we'll try to do the other ones as well. And we need an interface. And we need a wireless connector. So let's put the wireless connector down there, and we'll hook it up to our system. And the interface will go in the middle, and we'll stock it with source gems. How about a stack? So for the essences, you see that it only takes 3 items for each essence. However, the imbuement chamber checks for the 8 blocks around it. So if we have them, if I set one here, these two are sharing all 3 of these blocks, and that conflicts. So that would be 2 blocks apart. And I think that should be okay. So we have 1, 2. And if we go, that's not great. Let's see if we can make that work. We'll grab these pedestals, and we have, why don't we do it like this? Okay. And we put Super Factory Manager underneath, like so, and connect those guys to here. Okay, so everything should be connected by the cables. Now we need to populate our pedestals. The nice thing about this is it doesn't use up the resources. So for example, if the air essence requires feather, wild and wing, and arrows. So let's put those guys in. Feather, wing, and arrow. That was air. Earth is dirt, seed, iron. Okay, so I have the item set for each individual one. And we're going to use Super Factory Manager to stock them all with the things, the source gems. Okay, so that guy goes in there. We're going to name it Ars Essence Automation. Okay, just like that, we have our code. That should be good to go. We do the interface and the imbuement chambers. And we push it back in. You can see that they all got a source gem. And this one's crafting air essence. This one's crafting earth essence. This one, fire and water. So all 4 of those guys are going. It takes a long time, as you see. That's why we're passively crafting it. And once this craft is done, it doesn't actually use up any of these resources. It only uses the source gem. And we have those being crafted by our bees. So while this is going, let's go ahead and make the bulk crafting cells for those guys. Now that is set up and ready to go. So if we take a look at our essence in ours, you can see that one of them has been crafted, one of each has been crafted, and these guys have been reset, but all of those materials are still there. So those guys will keep chugging along. Okay, so it's been a little bit longer, and I went ahead and added more of these, the same exact things we had back there. And this one's for the conjuration, this one's for the abjuration, and this one will be for the manipulation essence. So these guys are all set up and running. Nothing too complicated over there. Here, I set up a few source jars, and because I have so much coal that I'm not using for anything, I'm just using coal to create source. And Super Factory Manager puts it in this pedestal, and these volcanic source links pick it up from the pedestal and they create source. So that's how these guys are all full. And then over here, I set up my arcane core with the enchanting apparatus on top, surrounded by these platforms. And this is what we're going to be using to create those alloys. So if you take a look, it's done in the enchanting apparatus over here. So it's these things go on the 8 pedestals around, and then the thing in the middle goes up there. These ones are easy. So I'm going to set up a pattern provider, and we'll automate this in a similar way that we did with our seed crafting for mystical agriculture. The problem with this is I can't access this with Super Factory Manager. Well, I could, but I'd have to bring a cable up above ground and like touch it on this, which would look ugly, and I don't want to do that. One way we can get around that is by using an entangled block. So these entangled blocks. The problem is the recipe in this mod pack is changed, and we're gonna have to set up some things like the Endurium B and also a quantum entangle porter, which I don't have my mechanism set up. So we'll have to do that as well. So for now, I mean, we could do it manually. So if we take a look at all the modium alloy, and let's say we want to make this guy, we need each of those essences, 2 piglet hearts, and then all the modium and unobtanium. Okay. So these guys go over there. And then the gem goes in the middle. And see, it pulled all the source from there, but it refilled up again because these guys have a lot of it. And that gets combined. And there we go. We have the unobtanium alloy. The one thing I forgot, well, not I forgot, but I overlooked in last episode is this alloy for the dissolution chamber requires soul lava. And we don't have any soul lava. So the way I'm going to do that is with bees, of course, because it's easy. And the soul lava bee is a ghostly bee, and we feed it a bucket of soul lava, and we get the soul lava bee. So if we take a look at the ghostly bee, we need a soul sand nest, and we need to feed it gas tears. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, we have our ghostly bees. So let's go breed them. What I should have done actually is fed them treats. It's okay, we have so many of these treats. Where's my bucket? Oh, it takes the bucket away. It literally takes the bucket. That's silly. Okay. So now we have the soul lava bees. Let's go put them in a cage. We also need the omegas. Let's make 24 of those guys. Now the problem with soul lava is they require soul lava, which cannot be put inside of a feeding slab. So we have to put it in the ground. Maybe if we walk down here, we could put it into one of these guys. Oops. So we're going to put our fluid cell in there, have it configured with soul lava, and put that over here with our other fluid cells. Now this thing I built to be an importer, so I can just put something down on the ground and it gets imported into my system. Okay. So just like that, we should have soul lava, and our bees are going to be making soul lava. And we just have to make an adjustment here. So it's going to take input, so ether gas, comma. Let's see what the soul lava is. Soul underscore lava. Okay, so we'll do comma, fluid, soul underscore lava. And this should be going up. So we have 219 buckets. Why don't we take a look at the entangled blocks? Oh, that's right. We need a mechanism, but at least we can set up the other things for it. So we do have all of those. Let's set up the ender generators. That's just crafting recipes. We put those guys over there. And what else? We want that guy. And Endurium B. That's lead, platinum, or lead and diamond. And then this guy needs an Endurium block, which we can make without too much difficulty using that, but we need more lead. So the tricky thing is we need the comb blocks as well, right? So if we take a look at the entangled blocks, we need the Endurium comb block as well as the Endurium itself. So what I think we'll do is we'll let that make Endurium, and then we'll just use our label gun. We'll uncheck this beehive. Here's what we'll do. We look for beehive. Okay, and we get rid of that one. So now, sorry about the headache. So now when these guys produce, this beehive is going to fill up with 64. And we'll take this out. it'll fill up with 9 stacks of Enderium home blocks, and then we'll just manually put that in our system, and there's no way we're going to make more than that for this guy. So we'll just do that once, and then it'll be okay. So we had this guy set up, and as you can see, it's completely full of Enderium comb blocks. So I'm going to deposit those in our system for the entangled block. And we can go ahead and label this guy again and push it to the manager. So now the other ones that it makes will be Enderium ingots. I'm going to make the entangled block now. So what we need is the quantum entangled porter. Entangled porter. So this guy is going to require refined obsidian, which comes from the osmium compressor, and then we'll need the atomic alloy. So we'll need all of our infusers, and we will need the osmium compressor. So let's just set these guys down. Okay, so as you see, we have made a entangled block. And the way this works is, let's go down here and say we put this guy over here. We use this entangled binder to select the enchanting apparatus. And then we shift right click on it to select it. Then we go down to this entangled block. Come on. And right click on this. So now you can see that this block is bound to over there, which is the enchanting apparatus. So as far as this block is concerned, it's the same exact block that exists over there. So now it's hooked up directly to our inventory cable from Super Factory Manager, and we can label this as the enchanting apparatus when we write our code. Okay, so that's that. And the next thing we have to do is figure out how we're going to do our pattern provider. So we need a pattern provider. We'll use the extended version because why not? And we'll also need a barrel. Let's use the gold one. So the pattern provider has to be connected to not the interface, but the wireless thing next to the interface, or I'm sorry, below. Okay, so here is our wireless connector. We'll put the pattern provider on that, and then the barrel can go down here. Here's how I'm gonna work it with Super Factory Manager. The way the pattern provider inserts into a barrel, it starts with the first item and then it moves down the grid this way. So as long as the source gem is first, it's going to insert that one into the chest first. So I'm going to use the slots to deal with that, because basically the first item we always want to go into the enchanting apparatus and the rest of them will go onto the pedestals. So let's make that, and we'll put it in a barrel, the gold barrel. You can only insert inside of there after all of these have been populated. So we can't insert the source gem first. It's going to input from barrel slots 2 through 10. I'm sorry, slots 1 through, let's say 10. The enchanting apparatus only, I'm sorry, this thing only has 8, and plus the one in the middle is 9. So at maximum, we can only have 9 items being inputted. So we'll never have anything past slots 9. So it should only go from slot 0 to 8. And that's why we can do that. So we'll pick up from slots 1 through 10, and we'll output 1. We don't even have to check for that. So we'll output 1 to each pedestal. Okay. And then we'll put a forget. And we're going to input from slots 0 and output 1 to the enchanting apparatus. So there you go. It works as long as there is source. Alrighty guys, let me just go ahead and, because we did a lot in this room, I'm going to do a quick recap of exactly what's going on in here. So over here, we have an arcane pedestal that is being fed blazing archwood from Super Factory Manager. So our bees are making those, and it gets stored in here. And the Super Factory Manager puts it on the pedestal, and these volcanic source links pick it up and create source and put them in these jars. This is our enchanting apparatus setup, and it is automated with Super Factory Manager with also applied energistics. So right now we're waiting to get more source to craft all of these unobtanium alloy ingots. And as soon as one of these fills up with enough source, this will kick on. I will come up with an alternative way of generating source. I have this room down here that I'll do it, and then we'll store our source inside of our A2 system. Let's help this along. Okay, so you see it got enough source, and that started going. And then it takes that out. And this is set up for not only the alloy, but any recipe for the enchanting apparatus. It'll work with every single one. And the way that is set up, if we look at our code, is this is the enchanting apparatus code. We set our patterns inside of the pattern provider, and we just make sure any pattern that we make in the very first slot is the item that is going to go into the enchanting apparatus. So, and the way this works is you put items on the pedestal, and if there aren't, and it detects the recipe, and then it allows you to put the gem in the middle. So like right now where there's not enough source nearby, I can't even put the gem in the middle to start the recipe. So if you try to insert into the enchanting apparatus first before doing the rest of them, your craft isn't going to work. So you have to occupy the platforms first and then insert your object into the enchanting apparatus. So that's what we're doing over here. So first, we're inputting everything from slots 1 through 10, and that is everything that's going into the pedestals that's not going to be going into the enchanting apparatus, and we output that to, we output one of those items to each of the pedestals. And then we're going to output from slots 0, and this is the item that's going inside of the enchanting apparatus. So we pick that up and we put one of those to the enchanting apparatus, and then the craft starts. And then we just input from the enchanting apparatus and output to the pattern provider. While there is a ritual going, you cannot extract from it. So as soon as you insert into it and the ritual starts, it will not allow you to pull the source gem back out until it is done and crafted into the crafting thing. So we don't, that makes it easier for us because we don't have to actually filter for any of this. So it's as easy as that. And then we pick it up and we put it back in the pattern provider. The pattern provider is over here. And again, this is set to blocking mode, and it is set to insert the next set when the primary result is returned. And basically what that means is it'll not insert the next recipe until this one is finished and is returned back into our system. So that's how that works. Fully automated now. We just have to pump up our source generation. And then these guys are super easy. They're just imbuement chambers with these items. The items on the platforms do not disappear after the craft, only the source gem is used up or converted into the essence. So these guys are just being fed source gems by our super factory manager, and they're passively crafting. If we take a look at our essences, you can see we have all of these 24. Looks like these guys go faster. We have more of them than the air, earth, water, fire essences. Oh, actually, it's because we've been using those for the alloy crafting. So that is completely set up, which is super cool. I also forgot to mention how we're inserting into this enchanting apparatus, because as you can see, there are no inventory cables connected to it. So how are we doing it wirelessly? Well, we went ahead and made a where can we jump in? We made this thing. It's called an entangled block, and this block lets you wirelessly tap into any other block. And basically, for almost all cases, it's exactly the same as the other block. You can see the enchanting apparatus is highlighted pink over there. So this one is touching our inventory cable, and our super factory manager is inserting the stuff that are supposed to go into the enchanting apparatus into the entangled block, and it's going in there directly. That is the beauty of entangled blocks. So if you combine entangled blocks with super factory manager, you can kind of do wireless as well, which is super cool. So anyways, I think I'm going to end this one here. Thank you so much for watching. We fully automated this room, which we will improve later on, but we also got a time wand. Check it out. It's at 3. Done. 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 Look how much faster that's going. So anyways, thank you, and I'll see you guys next time.